Um, Hello guys. Today is Sunday and we are going to one fort called Rachakonda Fort. Just a Sunday morning ride. It will take I think 1.5 hours to reach there, and it is a old like 14th century fort. So yeah, I was talking about the history of this fort. This fort is 14th century old and belongs to Velma dynasty. And Velma dynasty was a warrior clan in like this part of India. Initially, Velma dynasty used to come under Kakatiya dynasty, one more dynasty, and I guess Kakatiyas were some kind of proper ruler and all those things, and they used to rule. And Velma was the vassal state of Kakatiya. But in 14th century, when Kakatiya dynasty became weak, so Velmas just found their independence and they disassociated themselves from Kakatiyas. Yeah, our good old Durgam Chevru in the morning. Very good place to walk. There's a track. You can do boating also. I don't know in the morning if it is available or not, but there is a track covering the lake. So Velma guys were like a warrior clan, and then they made this fort. Currently it is morning 7:30. I started my journey at I think 7:20 or 7:25, and I have to take a right. And good news or new news, the 2024, so that was the year of Gen 3 Duke. 2025, are oh wow, Indian aunties. 2025 Adventure 390 just got launched, and again Indian market is very hot right now. With in adventure segment now we have basically 2, 3 or 4 main contenders fighting for the place, and every bike has their own fanboys, if I can say fanboys, or their admirers. I'll call myself an admirer because I think the bike which is there in your garage is the best bike. So yeah, so Adventure 390, it launched. The top variant is like I think 3.6 or 3.7x showroom, but it comes with a lot of features, and the reviewers are praising it mostly. So the only downside they're mentioning is the price. So if you have a budget, you can buy it. Features wise, it has a lot of features, even more than my Duke 390. Like it has one extra feature of cruise control, Means it is not a necessary one, but if you have it and if you have the money, then why not? Why not enjoy cruise control? Because it's not like if you're buying any adventure bike, you will do off-roading every day. In India, 99% of the adventure bikes are used for touring. Cruise control will help a lot in that. You'll set a speed and you don't have to keep your right hand engaged with the throttle. You can just ride and enjoy. So main rival of Adventure 390 will be 2025 Adventure 390 will be Himalayan from the top spec. Adventure 390 is almost 60 to 90 lakhs or 60 to 90,000 cheaper. But yeah, people should ride both the machines. Yeah, the main differentiating factor between both the bikes is Himalayan is little bit, not little bit, a lot heavy. I think 200 kgs if I'm not wrong. But yeah, it is very heavy, and in that too the weight management is not properly done. It means that if you are a short heighted user, like below 5'8", you will feel it very tiresome to ride that bike in city. You cannot park it on very congested parking and then just use your legs to come out. It will not happen very easily. Means you can do anything, and if you like the bike, if you like the ride quality, then all other things lie in your skill set. What? Oh, same. Yeah, normally I compliment other people's bike, but today I'm getting compliment. First I thought he's asking for something, but then, oh, where did he went? Yeah, see, yeah. So KTM is very light, and KTM is with lot of gizmos or lot of specs, which if you are having in your bike is good. If you don't, still okay. Yeah, if you have money, you can buy both, because there is always a place for a next bike in your garage. Himalayan is calmer in like city traveling speeds, and KTM is vibey. It vibrates, but that is this. It is more like a signature of, or it's more like a nature of KTM engines, because they're creating a lot of power. Like I think they're at the limit, maybe 3-4 bhp, lesser than the 100%, but mostly they are at the limit of single cylinder. So due to that, the engine runs little vibey, but some people like it, that it feels like they are riding something, and only Indian customer dislike or complain about vibrations in KTMs, and not a lot of people in Europe. Suspension wise, KTM has fully adjustable suspension, Himalayan doesn't, but the default suspensions which comes in Himalayan works very well. A bit soft if you like it. Green light. So we are talking about suspension setting. Top variant of KTM provides you a lot of setting, and the good part with that is if you are riding fast or if you are riding aggressively, harder suspension gives you more confidence, because in case of softer suspension, this movement when you brake or when you accelerate, so due to the momentum, bikes goes down or the rear gets squeezed, so it doesn't provide you a lot of confidence in riding very fast. And because in India most people buy one bike and do everything with it, that setting thing can be a thing to consider. RE650 with some aftermarket exhaust, that guy will be feeling very good while riding. But yeah, we live in India, it's illegal to modify. Let's talk about the other things. Power to weight ratio wise, KTM is, KTM is more powerful. Produces I think 46 bhp because it has the same engine like my Duke 390. Maybe they tuned it a bit different, or they are using different sprockets on the bike to make it torquey. So basically RE created Himalayan by thinking mostly about Indian customers and also their global customers, but I don't think there is a lot of sales globally. RE is pushing very hard on that, but still most of the sales is coming from India. And KTM created that bike thinking more about the global customers. We covered the engine, we covered the suspension. You have to ride it, man, and you have to ride it. Seat comfort wise, I guess Himalayan is much better if you are thinking of touring with your pillion and lot of luggage, because by default setting KTM is good for single rider touring, but pillion comfort is not very good because the seat is very narrow and by default there is no luggage rack or anything. Yeah, means KTM has what can I say, quick shifter, and initially I used to think that quick shifter is a unnecessary things, but if you will ride a bike with a quick shifter, and then there will be no going back, because the clutch in Himalayan is very hard and that is not adjustable. Also KTM has adjustable clutch, and I guess nobody is giving any indicator. Yeah, so clutch in Himalayan is very hard. So if you will have a quick shifter, you can just downshift and upshift without using clutch, and that is a blessing, I guess. And also it has KTM has traction control. KTM has ABS, but I think ABS is in both bike. But KTM has cornering ABS too, so it will calculate your lean angle and all those things, and then it will do its mathematics. And then it will calculate if it should lock the brake or not. Yeah, I think both have tubeless rims or tubeless tires. So yeah, if you don't have the money, and like it is wrong from the YouTubers or from anyone who is comparing the top spec KTM, which is 60 to 80,000 costly or costlier than Himalayan. So we should compare the 390X, which has some less gizmos and which is I think on same price like Himalayan. We are crossing Injapur. We are crossing Injapur Lake. On my right side there is a lake, good lake. Oh, either he was looking for map or he was using his phone. Woohoo! What a surprise! Oh man, I think I missed my exit again. Now I will take a left in 500 meters. Map is teasing. Map is teasing me. This time I cannot miss, so I will slow down. 900 meters, 850, 260. Oh man, where is it sending me? According to Google Map, there is some road on left, but where is it? I guess it is sending me to literal off-road. Guru Nanak University, Hyderabad, empowering the youth. Here it is. Okay, I'll use this left. Oh man, I just cleaned my chain yesterday, and now you are saying that I have to ride in this road. Maybe if I'll drive slowly, there will be no dust. See, what am I doing here? If someone will see me on this totally random road in full riding gear from head to toe, and my number plate is not from this state, I have to go right. Yeah, there is a row. It's looking like I'm inside some people, some farm or what. Oh, see peacocks. So that is the male and the other. Oh, we have peacocks. This jungle safari paid off. We saw a lot of peacocks today while riding like this. I'm understanding what is the difference between different kinds of tires, because the road is even but still my grip is gone. There is no grip. Now I am in some people's field. Left is blocked, so I will take right. I should ask them. मैं कहाँ जा रहा हूँ? हाँ? No. हिंदी और इंग्लिश? हाँ हाँ. अरे ये कहाँ ले जा रहा है मैप मुझे? There is one fort, Rachinavadu. Some fort is there, ना? हाँ. We did this off-roading. ठीक है. Like, I hate Google Maps. I don't know why it is even considering this as a route. Sometimes it goes, maybe they are using their own Gemini to calculate the routes. They just told me you are inside some plantation. Oh man, yeah, these tires are 0% off-road capable. Same road from where I came. I'm going back. And think this can happen with anyone at night time too, that by thinking that Google Map is taking them somewhere, they will just take the route like I did, and then they will find themselves in no man's land. So I will just head back to the city from where I missed one exit, and then Google Maps started showing me random routes. After facing so many hardships, finally we have reached the fort, as it is 14th century old. The only ruins are here, not anything else. Something is written on this wall. I don't know what it is. Maybe it is written in native Telugu, and there is some sign. Maybe it is the sign of those Velamas. Temperature is not very cool. I can say it's hot, and this is feeling like Tomb Raider and Lara Croft game, where Lara Croft goes into these kind of ruins to find the treasure. Imagine 14th century with a fully erected fort. I guess fort is more like a boundaried wall. This plateau was not a lot of buildings all over the place. These kind of small buildings, either sheds or something, but I haven't seen a very big palace kind of thing or something very big. I guess mostly this fort was used for safety and keeping track of your enemies, because this is at some height, so you can see surrounding area till a lot of distance. Here I guess this is some kind of water storing structure. There are some stones with holes in them. Those are not natural. There is still water in this much heat, so I guess it used to work well.